Hello, welcome to Pro Tips number 78, where today we'll be talking about the Windows Secure Boot Certificate expiration. Um, Quick shout out to the community, especially Funky Tech Monkey, who brought this topic up on the community and other ways as well, as a concern, as something that might fly under the radar, that people might not be as aware of, and also something that they might not be able to track as easily when these updates actually take place and how to manage the update of the certificates. Now, before we get into the details, I quickly wanted to cover what this whole topic is and what the impact might be. Now, the secure boot was introduced in 2011. The certificates that were linked to it had a lifespan of 5 years. So that means that in the summer of this year, especially June 2026, is when they will expire. Now, what impact does it actually have? As far as I've been able to find, it won't actually break your secure boot immediately, let's say. Microsoft here lists that when they expire, Windows devices that do not have the new certificates will no longer receive security fixes for pre-boot components compromising Windows boot security. So it doesn't necessarily mean that secure boot will be disabled automatically or that it won't work anymore. It's more so that future updates won't be applied or won't be possible, and that will lead to issues down the line. So regardless to say, it's important that you do this update. And it's something that not everyone is immediately aware of, and something that's also not easily accessible to kind of update. It's not something where you just you run an update package across your environment and it's done. It's something that in a lot of situations Microsoft needs to, or you need to enable something, and then Microsoft can push the update to the devices and it gets applied and all those sorts of things. So today I'll be covering basically what update methods there are, how you can use Lansweeper as well to monitor the update progress and see whether updates have been applied or not, and just some more general tips and tricks around kind of this update process and how you can manage it better. So let's get into it. Obviously, you've already seen here the article that I'll be using. This is the official Microsoft article that they have around this whole update process. I recommend that you go to the blog version of this pro tip, and also there's a link there to this specific blog post from Microsoft, and use that as well as kind of like a guidance for your update process. I'll be covering some of the points here on this article, specifically some more generic resources and items that they cover here, as well as taking a quick look at three methods. Is it three? Yeah, three methods on how you can update, either using Microsoft managed updates, using a GPO, or just you doing the manual version of a GPO, editing the registry keys, and everything that comes along with that. So to start off on the more generic things, Microsoft does have kind of here a guidance for, hey, secure boot guidance, or secure boot certificate update guidance, and what you can do here. They have a lot of information on kind of like what information could be useful, what you need to consider. Basically, what it comes down to is Microsoft here tells you, hey, we think it's a good idea to have a complete inventory of your environment. Well, yes. And then also to use that in order to collect or create a representative sample of the devices in your environment, so that you have kind of like a testing group that you can use in order to update those. As soon as those updates are done and they work flawlessly, then you can also push it wider to the rest of your environment. Obviously, that makes sense. They provide a bunch of PowerShell scripts and things like that for it, but we don't really need that. We already have that information in order to get an overview. And I've created a report for that specifically. It's the Secure Boot Certificate Updates Asset Overview Audit. Quite a mouthful, but this is basically just a report that has all the values that Microsoft recommended to put into your overview. So I think serial number wasn't in there for them, but I added it. Basically, just basic details of the devices, along with the only kind of more special thing there is kind of the BIOS version slash firmware version, because there might be cases where the certificate update cannot be applied unless a firmware update, a BIOS update is done first. That will obviously very heavily depend from device to device and things like that. So, but at least there you have the information, and you can kind of, I guess, create a representative, um, representative sample group of devices that you want to test on and test the update on before you push it wide to everyone. The second thing that is more generic, let's say, is when it comes to checking if devices or finding out which devices are indicating that they need an update. Now, it's not a guarantee that all devices that need an update will be indicated. I'm assuming that that will happen or that is the case, but I cannot give a 100% guarantee on that. And Microsoft has done that through new events in the Windows event log. So specifically, the 1801 and 1808 events are the interesting ones. 1801 is an error event, so that is scanned by default by Lansweeper Classic. You will need the Lansweeper Classic version for that in order for that scanning to take place. But this is is an error event that is scanned by default by Lansweeper, and you'll be able to see which devices are saying, "Hey, I need an update for my certificate." It'll say like secure boot certificates are keys are needed or need to be updated, blah blah blah, and then has a bunch of information about the device itself, which you should already have in Lansweeper with the previous report. But that being said, we also have event 1808. This is an informational event. That means that in Lansweeper Classic, if you want to get this information, you will need to do some configuration. You'll have to quickly go to server options, scroll down, and here's scan information events. You will need to enable that. Do take note that scanning additional events, depending on how many assets you have, etc., might increase the size of your database. Um, so I would also recommend that you um, take a look at kind of the history cleanup options and things like that, and how much space you have left on your database and things like that. So, you don't get into trouble there with like your database being full or something along those lines. That's just a nice tip there. Let me go back to where I was, which is that. So yeah, those two events are really the most important. Well, in my opinion, the most important thing about this, like during this entire pro tip, if there's one takeaway, it is scan or set up the configuration for these events, scan these events because these will help you the most. Once you have that scanned, again, there will be a report linked in the blog that you can use. I have combined or I've created one report that shows you both events. It will be obviously a record per event log entry. It's just an example. It shows you how it gives you a report that is already built. But, if you want a separate event or a separate report, I should say, for the event 1808, which is logical, you can create that quickly. Just remove the 1801 from the report code itself. It's not that difficult. Or if you want to do additional things, if you want to take it further and create counts and things like that, I leave it up to you guys to kind of adjust from there. But at least you have a starting point here with this general report. As you can see here, this is just an example of one device that I've been kind of updating as a test. You can see it started off somewhere in the beginning of December with saying, hey, secure boots keys need to be updated. Then it got the update, but it still wasn't applied yet. Here it is, secure boot certificates have been updated, but not yet applied. And then eventually here it got applied, and then we got the 1808 event confirming basically, hey, it's been updated. So you're all good to go. So you can definitely make a separate report for 1808 that kind of be your guiding principle of like checking whether the update has been completed, basically. Now, then we can get into the ways to trigger this update. We are going to cover three ways. We're going to cover here the Microsoft Managed updates. So if you're using Microsoft Managed updates, then it should, in theory, all happen automatically, as they say. So that way you don't really need to do anything aside from having a supported version of Windows 10 or 11 and ensuring that Windows updates are not paused and that secure boot is enabled. Those are the only things. However, if you are managing your own updates, which most organizations will be, let's be real, then you have two other options. Well, two other options that we'll cover. You have the manual option, which is, hey, there are registry keys that basically dictate all of this behavior. You can start editing those registry keys, pushing out updates to those registry keys to start triggering the updates. That includes, and then here they have a list of the registry keys. So it is basically the secure boot registry keys with the value available update, high confidence opt out, and the Microsoft Update Managed opt out. Or no, opt in, I should say. There are details here. Again, this is all linked in the blog. If you want to read the full details on exactly what all of these keys do, you can find it there. But the main important one here is the available update zone, which is the one that triggers the update. So you can update that one manually if you want, or set up a system, push out the registry key update throughout your entire environment. There are ways to do that. So I will leave that up to you. Then for kind of monitoring the progress with registry keys, there are a couple more ones in the, it's still part of the secure boot registry key, but a sub key called servicing, where you'll have like a certificate update, 2023 status, an error one, and also whether it's capable or not. So again, that's something that you can use in order to manage or to monitor the progress. All of these registry keys can simply be inputted in the file and registry scanning in Lansweeper. Again, you'll need Lansweeper Classic, but you can add it in here to then start reporting on it. What I've done, resources that I've already created is basically I've created, and let me go back here. I've created one report, one audit for the main registry key grouping. So that means, if I go back here, that means everything that is all the values in the secure boot key. I've created one report for that. That's the secure boot registry key audit. So that will give you every asset with the values, the value, registry key values, and the value that value has. A bit of valueception there, but so that will give you that overview. And then similar thing I did for the servicing one here. That one is also there with, in this case, it starts with the status one where you can see it's all not started here at the moment. So again, those are two ways, additional ways that you can monitor the progress, basically. One caveat, but we'll get to that later when we get to the GPO. So yeah, those are the registry keys and a registry key method. Then we get to the GPO method. This is very simple. I mean, you just enable the GPO and push it out across your environment. Microsoft lists here exactly where you can find it. I also have this in the blog, so you can also find it there. The one additional thing that I noticed is if you want to verify with Lansweeper that this specific policy has been enabled, you would imagine, or I imagined, that it would use this registry key, and actually start triggering that update. I was wrong. It does not. So what it actually does, it creates an additional value in the same secure boot key. So you don't need to, it's not on a separate key. You don't have to look around that far. It creates an additional value, which is named available updates policy. So if you are using the GPO, I highly recommend that you scan this available update policy registry value from your secured boot registry key. That way, you'll be able to see whether or which devices have the GPO applied / enabled on them. And you can always click on the report button to see exactly here. I can see, my desktop machine that I have, it has a value. I mean, this is a translation from a hexadecimal value, so it's not like it doesn't make a lot of sense. But as long as it exists and it has a value that is not 0, for example, it should mean that it's enabled and the policy or the GPO is applied or is enabled there. So that's an additional way that you can actually monitor that side as well. Then let me check my notes here real quick if there's anything that else that I've forgotten. Yes, the one thing that is remaining, and that's something kind of more generic. Um, the last resource that I created was just a more generic secure boot status audit. I realized that we didn't really have that yet. This is separate from what Microsoft recommends. I was kind of confused by that because Microsoft here and there, kind of their guidance, if I select the right one, their guidance, and I scroll down a bit, here they have like a bunch of resources that they provide or that they give you, etc. But one of the things is here the secure boot enabled one, which is what they recommend in order to check whether your assets have secure boot enabled or not. Because obviously, in the case that they do not have secure boot enabled, technically speaking, they don't need to be updated because they are not using secure boot. What I found is that this registry key is not a reliable way to check whether the secure boot is enabled or not. So you can use that. I haven't had much success with it. Instead, there is a separate subkey called it's in again the secure boot path, but it's a subkey of that called state, where you have UEFI secure boot enabled, and that one is more reliable for me. So I've used that key. I've also used that key in the past, by the way, for the Windows 11 requirements reports that I've made, where in order to install Windows 11, you also need secure boot, or you need to be secure boot enabled or capable, at least I think. I've used that in the past in there, so I've reused that. Basically, you can reuse that here to check which of your devices have secure boot enabled or not. I made a report for that you can use. So that will give you an overview of exactly all your devices and whether secure boot is enabled or not. So that will also give you an additional resource that you can use to help you during this update progress or process, I should say. I think that'll be it for me. One quick reminder, or I guess last word, is when it comes to one takeaway, I think the main key resource, as I mentioned, are these events. I think those are probably the most interesting and most useful resources that you can use in order to kind of, on the one hand, check which devices are lagging behind or maybe are stuck on not getting their their certificates applied, or that they keep prompting you that the certificate needs to be updated. It's an indication that something is not going right, whether it's the firmware that doesn't support it yet, whether it's the group policy not being applied correctly, or the registry key not being set correct. Something is going wrong there. So that's one very useful way. The other one, obviously, being the other event, the informational event, which is a very good way to just say, hey, this device has been updated. Checkbox, done. So that's really the main key takeaway. For the other ones, the other methods that are here, for example, the Intune one. If you want me to take a look at the Intune one, if that's something that you would like to explore, that you would like to get more information on, please let us know. Let me know through the community or other means that you would like to see more information on that. I can take a look at how we can trigger updates with automations as well, so that we can automatically put assets in the correct Intune group that would then trigger these certificate updates and things like that.